got another wonderful show, which might be hampered by the fact that I've got echo in my ears, which I'm hoping will not transmit to the people watching, if you are here. But I've got the wonderful Judie Boom and Hailey Jones, and I'm going to bring them both into the studio now and introduce them. And Judie can introduce herself, and then Hailey can, and then we'll have a chat. Hello! Okay. I talked to Judie first. What was your show and where is it at?
I've got a show called Apocalypse Kapow, which is today in Burrito and Shake at 1:15, and it's my first show of the Fringe.
Exciting!
Ever in the Fringe.
Way!
And then tomorrow it's in a different place, and then it's in a different place because that's how new I am. I've taken everybody's days off, but next week it's at Cafe Queer for 6 whole days. Wow. So if I can get through to the weekend, it's going to be a breeze.
Exactly. What about you, Hailey? Where are you and what's your show?
I'm the Little White Pig, which is in Newtown. And I also am I real. Echo. And it works. Well, my show's called Dead Dad Jokes.
Yeah.
And it's my first one-woman show.
Yeah.
My other show is as an elf. So.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm just going to shut the door. At some point, self-inflicted more than ever. Right. So, I don't know why it's echoing. But is it echoing for you?
For me. What if we mute in between?
Maybe. Yeah. So I'm going to ask questions and then go mute and then see what happens. Yeah. So I'm going to ask Judie first. What's her experiences so far from this massively enormous arts festival? And has anything happened yet, or what are you expecting from your first one?
So I arrived on Sunday, and I think it's Tuesday today, but yesterday felt like about 5 days in one. And my first experience, so I'm staying with a really kind friend, and so we got here late Sunday night, and it was just really nice and chill and relaxed and all good. And then we went in yesterday morning, and I saw somebody flyering with one of these and their own flyers, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I just went straight up to her and was like, "Hello, I've got a show." And then I spent the rest of the day just basically behaving like a complete ball of insanity at every person that I saw that had a blue book. And every single one of them was the cutest person I've ever encountered. They were all so lovely. And I just feel like part of something just absolutely amazing. I don't know. I also think there's absolutely no point in me doing this show at 1:15 today. It's going to be absolutely awful. There's no point in it. But I also love it. So I don't know how to hold all of those things together in my own brain.
Yeah, you want to do it and see what happens. And it's going to be amazing. Yeah. What about you, Hailey? What are you?
Well, Judie, I just want to say that maybe it was you who was the most adorable person out of all of those people going up being like, yay. Yeah, it's such a roller coaster of emotion because you never know who's going to show up or if anybody's going to show up or if they're going to like the material. My show's about it's called Dead Dad Jokes. So my dad died, but he owned comedy clubs. And so the way that I moved through that was by writing a lot of jokes and humor. And it cracks me up because some audiences, the first shows, if they didn't laugh at all, I would spiral into a pit of despair being like, well, I'm not funny and I should never open my mouth again, And now I'm at a point where I can read the audience and I'm like, oh, wow, they haven't thought about their parents dying or they're just getting triggered right now, And I try to create a safe space so everybody can talk about that after. But, with Fringe, a lot of people just show up to the shows and they don't even know what it is that they are showing up for. They're like, oh, this title seemed cool, you know, and so then they go on a ride they didn't anticipate. So yeah, it's nice to get to a spot being like, okay, maybe it just wasn't their medicine, or it was their medicine, but we can't talk. They didn't like the way it tasted. So.
Can you say again what venue you were at? Because I missed it with the echoey.
Yeah, it's the Little White Pig, and it's in Newtown. And it's a wonderful bar and restaurant, and they have delicious food. And it's nice because it's off the beaten path. So if you need like just a little break from the chaos, it's a great spot to pop by. And they'll give you 15% off if you see a show.
Yeah, because I was looking in the book and I was thinking, because where I'm staying, that's not too far from here. And I was like, should I go? I had booked in to go to an event and I was like, I want to. And so I thought, can I see something? And then I was like, it's too far. But it's not too far. It depends where you're staying, how convenient that is. That's the thing. You go, well, that venue's miles away, but there's going to be people that are staying right next to it. So it's not really, nothing's really miles away in Edinburgh, really.
Everything's a 20-minute walk, I'd say.
Exactly. What about you, Judie? Have you checked out your venue yet? Your venues?
Yeah. So happily. So the really lovely thing about taking everybody else's days off and all of that kind of thing is that I'm just going around places that probably I wouldn't have seen otherwise. So we went first to Burrito and Shake yesterday. The burritos are amazing. I'm on at 1:15 and that's perfect lunchtime. So they are so big and amazing. And then we happened upon the Globe where I'm at on Thursday. And even he was probably the most miserable, the guy in the bar at the Globe, and he still wasn't even miserable. He was like, I'm all right. It's the second week of the Fringe. And then was just the most helpful. He was like, go and have a look at the room. It's all good. It's a lovely little room in the Globe. Wandered past Legends upstairs. Well, Legends, and I'm upstairs there. So we, can we put up a poster? Yeah, put up a poster. So we're climbing up, to get to the spot, right on my mate is climbing up on a table. Everybody's just chill with it. So I've seen quite a few. Oh, and Slow Progress is tomorrow, and that's just a lovely little cafe.
Yeah. Check that out.
Coffee shop, record store, just beautiful. Yeah, seen a load of venues and they're all just different and smashing and great, and yeah,
that's good. And I think with lots of different venues, you've got the whole vista of differences. You can chop and change and have a little explore about everywhere. That's going to be really amazing there. Yeah. So, what about you, Hailey? You've done your shows already a couple of times. Yeah. So how have you done the audiences?
All over the place. My first audience was just 3 Scottish men, and they laughed consistently throughout the show, but they also looked miserable. And most of I think I did an average of my audience. I think my average audience is 6 people.
That's higher than the average of the Fringe. To be honest, you're doing really well there.
Yeah. Last night I had 2 lovely British women, and they showed up 10 minutes late, so I didn't even think I was going to do a show. And they're like, yeah, no, we're here for you. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, we'll do an abbreviated version. So I did the show just for them. And at the end, this was the review I got. It was actually quite lovely, even though there were just 2 of us here. And I just feel like that sums up Fringe, being like, yep.
Yeah.
I didn't think that doing a 1-woman show would mean the 1 woman was in the audience, but it works for me.
So it's your first Fringe, Judie, but you've presumably done this show elsewhere.
Oh, you'd presume that, wouldn't you? Yeah. No, I really have, but I've only done it twice, in full. I was doing lots of different 5 minutes, as you're meant to, and kind of exploring stuff. And I've been writing longer stuff, but the way that I could test that longer stuff was obviously to do it in 5 and 10 minute chunks. And I live in a very rural part of England, so I live in Herefordshire. And I don't get much time. You're saying something and I'm going to just carry on because you're muted, but I'd love to hear if you're anywhere near Herefordshire. I don't get much opportunity. You have to drive quite a long way to get to new material nights and those kinds of things. And I was doing a Soho theatre. I just went on a mad Soho theatre Zoom and didn't even mean to go on Louisa Ameerland's Soho theatre Zoom. And you should totally go see both her shows. Haven't seen them yet, and I just already know they're amazing. And twice in the Zoom, there was a really small number of us. It was just amazing, really helpful. And twice in the Zoom, she said, I think an answer to some like miserable, whiny question that I'd posed. I think you just need to get on with it. And I was all worried about this 5 minute, that, you know, trying to like do the 5 minutes, because that's what people say you must do. And then this idea that like, maybe I've got something bigger to write. And so I took some of the things that I'd already written, and I without, the harder part was then like, you know, getting it better. But without really trying, I was like, oh, look, this has all got a theme. So I just carried on, and then I've done two work in progress shows, only 2. So there's the reason why I'm absolutely petrified. But I you know, start to finish, done, and that was my plan. And my plan was to come to Edinburgh and get better. You know what everybody says. You go to get better, you don't go to get famous or whatever. I have no interest in getting famous, but I did want to just do it every day, and that was my plan. And actually, I've already done it twice. And my naive brain didn't even know that I could do that. So, you know, like, I'm like, now I'm just going to do it every day. And at least I'm starting with a show. I'm
sorry, I muted you because I think the problem is it's your echo. So I'm going to ask you a question and then put you back on. Sorry, this is going to be really awkward. I don't know what it is. But yes, it is yours. I don't know what that is. But, you know, I was going to say that I passed through Hereford on my way here because my parents are in a little rural, it's not that rural, but part of Wales that it's like, how am I going to get to Edinburgh? And it was like, I looked and the train station said that I could get all the way. I was like, what? So unbelievable. So I went through Hereford and on a little Transport for Wales train from Wales to Manchester. So it still had Welsh language on it all the way up. It was really exciting. Anyway, I'm going to put your mic.
I don't have anything else to say. I was just going to say that, I'm not selling myself very well because I keep talking about like, I don't know if we're going to do it. But I'm hoping I'm going to get better at that as well. Actually, there was some time I flyered yesterday, and I literally said something like, I'm not giving them to everybody, or something really stupid. And I was like, this is the most stupid flyering I've ever done in my life. And I do lots of other flyering. I'm very, very good at shouting other people's praises.
This is awkward now. Yeah. So Hailey, have you done much flyering, and have you found the flyering technique that's worked to bring the hundreds of people into your show?
Yes. Well, I'd also just like to comment on Judie's thing. I was in the same boat as you as far as the show. I'd only done 2 runs of it, and I'd tried little bits of it, so I knew that a lot of the material worked. But do people really want to watch me for 55 minutes? You know, and can I hold the room for that long? So in a similar boat as you when I got started here at the Fringe, and that like you're knocking yourself for talking about that vulnerability, but that's very real for all of us artists. You know, like we're trying new things, and you know, not all of these shows might be perfectly polished, but they are an exploration. For me, I'm mostly a character comedian, and I love wearing wigs and costumes. But my challenge for this Fringe was to remove the wig and to not wear a costume and be like, can I just be funny and charming as myself? And can I do traditional stand-up? Of course, I still mix in a few of my characters because you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But it's, so everything you're feeling, again, like you're not alone. And I like the idea of flyering and being like, this is an exclusive invite. I've only handed this to you today because you seem nice.
Good plan. It's an excellent plan. So Judie, you're learning and growing, and what is your show about that you're learning and growing about? What is it about?
So the show, it's called Apocalypse Kapow. I spend a lot of time thinking about the apocalypse. There's a tapestry type thing on my kitchen wall that my friend who lives in Dundee had made for me, which says, "Mum, stop talking about the apocalypse. You're always talking about the apocalypse." So it's basically a random set of suggestions that we could come up with. Now, protest is illegal and difficult anyway. It's really hard. Different ways that we can halt the collapse of capitalism and the climate with maybe a few YouTube videos. So it's stuff that, you know, like I'm always thinking about, and a lot of us already are. So that was what it says on my flyer. It says, what else is life for? It's free. You'd be thinking about the apocalypse anyway, so you may as well come.
Yeah, I think that's good that you've got solutions. I did a YouTube video once that was like 20 ways that the world could end, 20 ways we can get an apocalypse is going to happen, but I didn't actually come up with solutions, and that is what is needed, I think. Yeah. So have you got any previews of sort of things that aren't going to completely spoil the show? Any previews of what we can do?
Oh, well, the spoiler alert probably is that I'm not sure any of my solutions are realistic. They're quite absurd. And I mean, let's face it, it's just a vehicle to probably share what we might end up doing. But I think the key thing that I discovered through doing it, and somebody came back to me with, and then I made that little part bigger, is that actually we've already got the solutions. We're always talking about the evil. Like, we love to talk about the evil in the world, so we ignore some of the hideous stuff that is basically coming at us like a freight train, but then we ignore some of the really the amazing beauty in the world, that we could just be turning to the beauty and like making the solutions happen ourselves, because actually there's far more nice, lovely people and beautiful things in the world than there are evil shits, and we could just be turning to that. And that was a thing that somebody else saw while I was doing it, and I think this is probably the thing what you said, Hailey, about, like, there's an art, we're artists, and I just haven't thought of myself as that for most of my life, and then being able to like put this weird thing out there that is entirely me and entirely my brain, and then have other people see things from it, it's just really exciting. And proof being all these lovely people that are that I met yesterday, like, there's so much amazing stuff, so possibly that's the biggest thing, and doesn't give you many spoilers.
Well, I mean, it's really good to like find your artistic the bits of you that you've left dormant for years, and I think that's a good thing about exploring in Edinburgh Fringe. There's like really put together shows, but there's a chance to see new stuff as well, which is really good. Have you explored and found anything about yourself, Hailey, in so far? It's only been a week, but
yeah. I mean, my show is so vulnerable because it is my story, and so I and it's my own grieving process as well, like, and how my father just passed a year ago, and so doing that and talking about it every night has been interesting. And then there'll be like moments, the show, I'm playful. They're all jokes that I wrote within 2 weeks of my father's passing, like, so they're seasoned in that way. But the trick, I think, is, I'm talking about the moments in the hospital and all of that. And when when I'm on the way to the show or something, I'll just be like sitting on the bus, and suddenly I'll be like, go back into that, like the hard part of it for me, where I wasn't laughing, or like my inner child, or like my, was crying or weeping or whatever. And so that's been really powerful, and it wasn't something I quite expected. So I guess that, like, on a very emotional, personal level, there's that. And then as a comedian, I don't know if I said this quite directly, but it was, the same as the medicine thing. But I had the first crowd, I think 2 nights ago, that I didn't leave going, oh, they hated me, And it was so nice to change that inner dialogue for the first time and not doubt myself if the show didn't go the way I anticipated it would, or the audience didn't respond where I thought that. I was like, you know what? It's all good. Like, that doesn't, like, the show works. Like, I am funny. And and so I think it's really nice, like, retraining that like the inner nest egg of like of affirmations, to being like, taking a step away from the inner critic and celebrating the inner lover, or whatever.
Yeah, it's so you've got light and shade in your show.
What was that word?
You got light and shade in your show.
Yes. I mean, I'd say that it's just dark humor. I don't think that I think there's like maybe 3 minutes or 3 moments that are like sentimental and sweet. You might strike a tear or two, but for the most part, like, I've written a joke like every other line.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but not
That-
everybody likes dark humor. My brother, you know, I'm American, and my brother, before I came here, he watched a Zoom rehearsal of the show, and he just goes, "Hailey, you're gonna make a lot of people really uncomfortable." And I was like, what? No, like I think that people in the UK and Europe like are way better with dark humor and like dry humor and humor that like I don't perform well at comedy clubs in the States because like I don't have a bunch of poop and sex jokes. Like I have stories that have punchlines, you know?
Exactly. But everything is a subject for comedy. I mean, there are some limits. I think there are some things that you like, let's just shy away from there. But if it's your own personal experiences or things that are universal, I think you're fairly safe, even if it is terribly, terribly dark, that you can go there and you're allowed to go there, I think, which probably is the same with Judie, because I imagine with the apocalypse, you're going to be exploring some fairly dark topics.
It's really interesting doing this with you, Hailey, because a lot of what my mum died in May 2020, which is a darkly humorous time for anybody to die, frankly, not of COVID. And I was kind of getting into quite a lot of writing then, and I wrote loads of things that responded to just me being part of that final process, and met so many other people doing it and saw so many other people doing it, and really excited to be connected to Kelly, who's got Two Dead Lovers, second helping, Two Dead Lovers Dead Funny, I think is the name of their show. Really, really worth seeing. Absolutely brilliant show, and that just utterly explores death. And there were like at least 10 people in there yesterday when we went to see it, and you know, they just really appreciated it. They wanted to see that stuff, and I think that there are loads of people that want to see that stuff. Maybe I didn't want to see it when I was 20, but I do now. Like I really do. And I think that, yeah, like me and my brother, I mean, I think my brother might be slightly different to you, because my brother takes dark humor to a level above me, and I think it's not that dark. My show's not that dark because I'm intentionally doing something that I think people who have climate anxiety and who are angry at a capitalist system that has not dealt with that are they don't have an awful lot of humor. There's a certain set of people that don't have a lot of they're not finding it easy to find this shit funny. It's really scary. There's a lot of really scary things, but I also believe in the power of a place where there's something funny and something fucking something really, really, really difficult. And I think that you're doing that, Hailey, and I feel like I'm trying to do that. But I've also, interestingly, the two pieces of feedback I've got, one from quite an activisty friend and one from definitely not an activisty friend, when I was doing my other shows, was I think you're letting everyone off a bit. And that was really interesting, because I feel like I'm putting stuff out there that, you know, I'm like, I'd like it to be a broad church of people that come in. You know, I'd like it to be a broad set of people that maybe haven't thought about these things before, maybe. And I'd like to kind of have it feel accessible. And like two people were like, I think you're not going far enough. And that was a real surprise to me. So, but hey, also, dude, like my answer to both of them was like, dude, I've written 40 minutes of words like that go from one thing to another. Like, I can't even believe you're giving me proper feedback about this.
Well, it was good that they appreciated it too. But also, I mean, yeah, you've got the whole cathartic sort of part of. I mean, I think there is a place for that in comedy. It's not just in drama. That, I mean, I think people have forgotten about that sometimes, and they take it. I don't really think free speech is without consequence, but you know, you need to explore some topics if it's gonna help to look at them and really examine what's going on with the world and what's going on with your own life and what's going on with other people's lives in relation to you. Maybe we can all come together with humor and find something in common with this, maybe.
Totally. It's interesting that you say find something in common, because I think that's what I spend a lot of my time doing. So, you know, I've got a lot more experience in finding things in common than I have in writing and performing comedy. And that, I think that's one of the things that is great for small, free, trying things out shows, because it was what everybody's doing, and there isn't that sense that, oh, I'm going to do this thing because it's going to fit into that very, very narrow understanding of what comedy or theatre or spoken word is once you get to that next level. And it's just exploring, and it's so rich, I think, for like finding things in common.
It is. And also trying to find something like, exploring, breaking the genre, because I don't really believe in genre. I think there's a lot of shows that we were trying to program with the Free Fringe that didn't really fit any particular genre, or didn't fit the genres that we have, that had maybe, and there's a ticky box saying, don't tick all of these, you can't possibly be. And I don't see why you can't be all of the above at the same time. You can't just, people aren't in little boxes. You need to break out. If you put yourself in a little box, you put your show in a little box, then you lose an awful lot, I think. So Hailey, what's next? What next to your show? Is your show, is it your show really exploring parts of you? You're like, yeah, that's gonna be.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. I'd say that, because I've had such a mixed bag of experience so far, and seeing other Fringe shows and seeing other character comedians or clowns, like, just do one character for an hour, and I'm just like, oh, I could do that. And like in Edinburgh, like, audience might want more of that, like, and that's okay. So I think I've had this like inner challenge, being like, should I just scrap the show and be safety Sue for the whole hour, or whatever. So, and I haven't decided yet if I'm going to come back next year. I what I love about the Fringe Festival is it does feel like performing arts camp for adults, and professionals. And, so I came last year, but just for a week. I'd been cast in a show that I acted in. And that's when I made the decision that I was going to come back and do my own show this year. But yeah, I love the community, and, just being able to support each other. And so I don't know. I don't know what will happen. I don't know if I'll continue evolving this show from this time. I'm like, this show kind of is what it is, but like the title's so good. And, is there a way that I can do that with less storytelling and integrate the characters more? Or, does the conversation change? And like, there is more conversation with the audience about their own grieving experiences, which I've had the great delight of, just the title of my show can, evoke a conversation for people. They're like, oh yeah, my dad's dead too. And I'm like, great, welcome to the club. Like, and then we talk about how it happened. And, I've had like one of the Scotsmen who came to that first show. We talked for an hour after the show, and he said some really lovely things about his grieving experience that I was like, oh wow, that's so well articulated, like that. And, because everybody articulates a different part of it so well. And, I label myself as a heart-centered comedian, and I joke that just means my jokes aren't very funny, but that more so than anything, it is about that connection that we're talking about, through the work, and it's connecting the shadow emotions, with the higher ones, so that basement stuff with love and beyond, and I do want to stay on that thread, I'm like, okay, like how can the theater be an intentional space that we are, we're not just leaving with a good laugh, but like also our soul has been stirred a little bit, and we're able to look at things in our life or let go or whatever. So yeah, I'm hoping to stay with that general thread, and I don't know what that looks like yet. And I'm excited. My director is coming in a couple weeks, and we've only ever done we did Zoom rehearsals, and I'm excited for her to see the show in person, as well as to kind of give me feedback from there, being like, okay, like how does this continue to grow? Because I'm at the spot where I'm like just finding my balance of like, okay, this works, and now what?
Yeah. So, Judie. Yeah, really talk about having a director. Have you been doing this all on your own, exploring ways?
I thought you were going to ask me what next.
Oh, what next as well?
But that's fine. Because I was like, how am I going to answer what next when what next is literally just getting there at 1:15 to burrito shake and not dying. So but then as Hailey was talking, I was like, oh man, I want to be part of a heart-centered comedian circle, right? That would be so cool. Because I was thinking about doing a new material open mic kind of comedy night in Hereford that I was like saying alternative, and I was like, it's not quite right. I don't want alternative. What do you mean alternative to what? Like, I just like the idea of just like starting to call it heart-centered comedy and just seeing what other people bring to that. But also, happily, yes, I worked with somebody. When I found PBH and knew that I didn't have to fork out thousands of pounds, and also had a friend who said I could get a room with him. I was like, okay, I spent some money on somebody who I know through open mic comedy circuit who it makes theatre. She's quite young and she's like really great and really vibrant. And she was putting something on Facebook and said, oh, like I'm available. And I was like, you, that's who I'm going to spend my money on. Oh my God. It was just the best thing. She's as bad at selling herself as I am. So we kind of both validated each other. And we just didn't actually spend that much time, but it was just saying something to somebody else and have them come back to me. So I guess she's kind of my producer, and that's amazing that I could even say that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good to have somebody else. I tend to just work alone, and that means that I go off on a bit of a tangent. I think you need that person to sort of say, hang on a minute, you need to go in this direction. I think that's something I probably should have learned by now. So it's good that you've found this early on. You need another eye on it to make sure that, you don't necessarily have to listen to them, but it's nice to have that, really.
Well, so it made me justify a couple of things. There's a couple of things that I was like, no, I don't think that is quite right. And it made me justify them, but it meant that I really knew I cared about that. So because I had to say it to somebody else. And yeah, I think what it was I desperately needed it. So it wasn't like, oh, this would make my work better. I was trying to work out how I could work with other people, but also still make my own creative decisions. And that's what took me a while. I think I've taken quite a number of years because I find it really hard to work alone, but this is about finding my own creative voice. So then I kept trying to think, oh, could I collaborate? And then nobody would really collaborate with me. And I think that's because what I wanted to do was create my own work. And so anybody else could see that. So why would they be part of that process? And all I needed to do, as Louisa and Mielen said, was get the hell on with it. But once you've got the hell on with it, somebody can hear what you've got, right? And that was the cool thing.
Wise words, yes. Okay, so all there is to round up with the show is where you've got loads of shows on. Can you give me like the next couple that you've got, Judie? And then I'll ask Hailey again to say when her.
Today, Burrito and Shake, 1:15. Tomorrow, 2:15, an hour later, Slow Progress. And then on Thursday is my only evening show, which is at Legends upstairs. At the Globe Bar at 7:15. But it's all on the PBH free fringe. And because I've got loads, all you have to do is go. Like, it's not that easy in the book for me, but I do pop up in lots of places because of the variety of venues and times. But on the free fringe app, if you search Kapow, I'm the only one there. So you'll get all my dates if you search.
The app is the best, and the website, and all these places. Right, and you're Cafe Queer next week, I think you said.
Yeah, next week I'm Cafe Queer 20th to 26th, somewhere in the middle of the day.
Brilliant, yeah. And Hailey, you're at the White Pig, are you?
Yeah, the Little White Pig. Little White Pig. And yeah, it's 7:30 every night. I am taking the 16th off, so I won't be there that night. But there's another show in my spot that's pretty fun. So yeah, see you at 7:30, Little White Pig. Yeah. Dead dad jokes. I think if you search dead in parentheses, you can find me alone there. So yeah, and it would be great fun. It'd be lovely to see you both there. And
that's good. I'm going to try and get to as many shows as possible. But yesterday, I was just like, so I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to try.
I'm taking these couple days to slow down mid-fringe. Just like, it's time to rest. Like, I went really hard that beginning, and my voice is all scratchy, and I'm like,
yeah. Got here, and I'm already like, what the.
Yeah,
So
right.
much. All right, I'll come and see you. I'll try and come and see you both. So have a lovely day. Stay in the studio so I can sort of end the broadcast. But bye bye for now, and bye bye everybody in the audience. If you're in Edinburgh, come and see these shows. And if you're not, go and see the digital shows and come and see shows next. And look out for these people in the future. Look out for Judie and Hailey and everyone, and it'll be amazing. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.